Lando Norris, welcome to a very breezy grid. Now, P7, you start, by your own admission yesterday, a bit of a scrappy lap. What can you do, though, from P7, and how do you manage these conditions in a race?
Just overtake, overtake everyone. Put on a good show. We have some fun. So, yeah, not I think as a team, not our best performance yesterday, but hopefully it just makes today more exciting.
Overtake is what you managed to do last year here, P15 to P4. What's the maximum you think you can get out of today? And in terms of the jeopardy of this track, the wind, the safety cars, the yellow flags, even red flags, how is the pit wall preparing itself?
I mean, it's always a long race here. There's always many things can happen, always the expectation of safety cars and VSCs and things. So it's also a race where things can go your way or it can go away from you because of just being lucky and unlucky, you know? So we got a good plan in place. We'll try and execute it well. I think a podium is a target. Of course, we like to try and win. I think Max is probably in the best position for that, but we'll see how far we can get.
Thank you, Lando. Best of luck today. We're going to bring in teammate Oscar Piastri. Oscar, sorry about qualifying yesterday. It's not often we see you in the wall. I don't think we've seen you crash for a long time. Glad you're okay as well. Just pushing too hard, that was how you saw it. And obviously the conditions are so difficult. How do you balance risk v reward now with this win? Because in a race, you can't just go into the runoff. You can't just go into the wall.
Yeah, going into the wall is never a good idea, no matter when it is. But yeah, I mean, it's a race where a lot can happen, as we've seen. I've already lost my hat once walking to this interview, so it's pretty windy out here. But yeah, you know, it's going to be an interesting race. No one's really run any of the harder tyres this weekend, so no one's really done any race runs. And yeah, a lot of wind around, cold conditions, so it's going to be an exciting one, I'm sure.
And look, in order to obviously extend that lead you have in the Drivers' Championship, a win is absolutely what you're going to be looking for today. How will you achieve that? You've got Max Verstappen on pole. That's always a mighty challenge ahead of you. But for those around you as well, how will you progress?
We'll have to wait and see. You know, again, because no one's done any meaningful race runs, it's pretty tough to know where everyone's pace sits. I think our pace is good this weekend, just didn't really show it yesterday, so hopefully we can use that to fight our way through. I think trying to win is going to be a tough ask today, but we can definitely make some progress forwards.
Thanks, Oscar. Best of luck.
I'm just joined by the Ferrari drivers here. Lewis says they're having a bit of a disagreement with Charles. What's the disagreement about?
Whether it's hot or it's cold, or I should be wearing a jumper or he's wearing a jacket.
All right, so it's not necessarily race strategy. We're talking clothing strategy here. All right, Charles, we'll start with you, starting P10 today. First of all, how are you after the accident in qualifying?
Oh, I mean, it wasn't that much of a big crash. I mean, it was disappointing, obviously, but yeah, and the car was obviously destroyed, but I'm completely fine.
So when you start a little bit out of place, knowing that the car has some pace, what is realistic today? Because there are a lot of other drivers maybe a bit out of position.
Yeah, quite a few drivers out of positions. Obviously, the two McLaren that are right in front of us needs to go back in front, and then the cars in the middle from the Mercedes and us are also maybe we are faster. So I hope that we can catch back and get back in front as quickly as possible. That's the target.
All right, best of luck with that. And Lewis, you've been a lot happier with your car so far this weekend. Sounds like some big improvements on the brakes. Big goodbye to Charles Leclerc as he walks off. I know qualifying didn't go exactly how you wanted, but the confidence still seems there. You seem very upbeat. You seem very positive going into the race. So are you looking forward to being able to use these kind of better brakes that you've got on the Ferrari to make some passes today?
Yes, definitely. We need to be moving forwards. We're out of place. It was looking really good in practice. The car had been feeling great all weekend. And I thought it was the strongest package we've had this year. So obviously, to be out of place, but I hope that we can progress forward. This is an amazing circuit for overtaking. We've got a great crowd, so I hope that we can put on a great race.
Potentially a little bit of a tire strategy mishap or miscall in qualifying for you, but going into the race, how do you feel like the strategy is going to play out? Is it a one-stopper, is it a two-stopper, or do we even know yet?
I think it's really dependent on the weather, the wind, but particularly the temperature of the day. At this temperature, probably closer to a one-stop, I would imagine. But if it gets cooler, like it was yesterday, could lead to graining, who knows? So we'll see today. I don't know. But one thing is I want to say big hi to everyone. We've got some big, amazing support here. So thank you so much, guys.
All right, well, big support for Lewis Hamilton everywhere we go. Best of luck rolling off from P12.
George Russell of Mercedes, I'm going to start with you. Good to see you, first of all, but I know you've not been well all weekend, and we've heard glimpses of a pretty gravelly voice on the radio. So firstly, just tell us how you are.
No, feeling better today, thank you. So it's been a bit of a tough weekend so far, but I've just been trying to rest as much as possible to be in a bit of a better shape for today, and I am, so at least that's a positive.
Qualifying was tough enough for everyone else, wasn't it? Let alone if you're not feeling 100%. So well done with the P5. I know you felt there was a bit more in it. What about race pace then?
Yeah, I mean, qualifying was really tough, to be honest, because there were so many red flags. I think we knew going so early that we were going to have a worse track condition, but we thought it was probably safer getting a lap on the board than not. Obviously, that last lap, we ended up in P5, but with everything that went on, I don't think it was a bad place. So let's see today. Nobody's really run the hard tyre, so we don't know if it's a 1 or a 2, but I think for us, we need to try and make sure we finish ahead of Ferrari and get some good points.
How do you manage these conditions in a race, and do you think from P5 a podium will be possible for you?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I think, you know, you've got Carlos and Liam ahead of us, who obviously did an amazing job yesterday, but we'd like to think we can try and get ahead of them. But then again, the McLarens behind us, they're going to be fast, and they'll probably be on an offset strategy, and they usually find themselves on the podium no matter where they start. So we need to be keeping, you know, an eye forward to try and get ahead of those 2 cars ahead of us, but then also keeping an eye on the ones behind, and Charles as well, who's always really quick in Baku.
George, thank you so much for taking the time. Feel better as well. Good luck for the race. Kimi, bringing you in, that qualifying was a bit more like it, wasn't it? Just how challenging was it? Take us into the cockpit.
Yeah, I mean, it was very, very challenging, you know, with many interruptions. I'm not going to lie, Q1 looked pretty bad for me because with 5 minutes on the clock, I had no time on the board. And, you know, I felt quite a bit under pressure, but then managed to find my way out. And, you know, in Q2 was pretty clean. And going into Q3, I had a decent confidence, but you know, still very interrupted session, and plus the rain coming down, and very tricky to get the tires in the nice window, and also to put the lap together. But you know, despite everything, still P4, and we'll try to give our best today.
Even just standing here on the grid, it's such tricky conditions. The wind is swirling, not in any consistent direction. What did you learn from one lap in these conditions yesterday you can bring into this afternoon?
Well, definitely, you know, the wind is kind of a lottery because, as you said, you know, it's blowing in every direction, and it's not consistent at all. So, you know, yesterday, in my last lap, I got this gust. But, you know, in Q2, I was quite lucky with the wind, and in Q3 was not quite like it. But, you know, it was like this for everyone. And the main thing today in the race is trying to kind of predict it, even though it's going to be hard, but trying to, you know, don't make any mistakes.
Great to see you on the second row up there. Good luck. Enjoy it, Kimi. Thank you.
And standing here now with the Red Bull team, of course, starting with your pole sitter, Max Verstappen. Max, incredible lap in qualifying. Just talk to us about how difficult it was in those conditions to get that lap in.
Yeah, it's a bit like now, right? You can feel the wind. It's super tricky out there. Yesterday there was a little bit of rain around, stoppages with the red flags, so definitely wasn't straightforward, and I'm sure that also today won't be straightforward, but I think we're all looking forward to it.
Did you know that this was, I'm sure you did know, but this is one of only 3 circuits on the calendar you had not had a pole at yet. You got that one done. You're going to knock the other 2 off? I think they're still coming up, Singapore and maybe Abu Dhabi?
Singapore for sure. The other one, I don't even know. I need to check myself. But yeah, I mean, that's nice. I mean, it's not always been the easiest for me in qualifying around here, but yesterday luckily worked out. And now, of course, we're hoping for a good race. Surely there will be a lot of action, I think, on track. And we'll just, yeah, try and do the best we can.
All right, best of luck. And Yuki, best start since joining Red Bull up in P6. Just tell us about the confidence you have in this race car. And I know that some of what you've been focusing on is less about one-lap pace, more about that long-run pace. So how are you feeling, do you think, going into this race over a stint?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, you know, especially the long run I had in FP2. It's a lot different to what I had in previously, and I worked so hard on this long run to make it better because it was a main weakness I had previous races. So it seems working well with this, some adjustments, different approaches, and yeah, looking forward to apply to this actual race, and hopefully, I can also progress some positions.
So starting there on the third row, you got a chance to have a really good result today. What finish would make you happy at the end of the day?
Well, other than P1, you're never gonna have a massive happiness, but yeah, I mean, podium will be great, which I never had it, and I think it's a good chance if I'm able to replicate or even make it better from P2.
All right, well, best of luck going for that podium. Yuki Tsunoda.
Alex and Carlos deep in conversation about something, maybe race strategy. But Alex, coming to you, just to interrupt, you roll out the first of 6 red flags. Sorry to remind you, in a pretty chaotic qualifying. At least you weren't the only one, I guess. But you called it a rookie mistake. James Vowles said there was a really strong gust of wind into turn 1 at that moment. So maybe a combination of the two. But how do you move on from that and look at these conditions and learn from them for the race?
Yeah, I mean, there's not so much to learn from other than don't do it again. But for the race, it's going to be similar conditions. It's going to be quite hectic. Driver mistakes will be high. I don't think anyone's going to be pushing as hard as they were in qualifying. So you'd hope to think there's a little bit less than in qualifying. But we have a good car. We're out of position clearly. Carlos proved that yesterday, and we have our work cut out. There is not much you can do with strategy around here. So we're hoping for a classic Baku race. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, strategy looks like it could be a one-stop, especially in this temperature, if we don't have the usual chaos we perhaps predict here. So how do you progress from P19? And are you going to enjoy a bit of the chaos that may lie ahead?
Yeah, unfortunately you need a raw pace around here, but this track is one of the hardest tracks to follow because the castle section is so narrow. You can't really get clean air and the tyres tend to overheat quite quickly. So it sounds a bit pessimistic, me saying all that, but actually just find some clean air, get some good laps in, and try to do some good overtakes.
Thanks, Alice. Wish you lots of luck. Thank you. And bringing in Carlos Sainz, a P2. At one point in Q3 looked like you'd be on pole. Williams is first since 2014, but P2. How are you approaching turn 1 against Max Verstappen?
Yeah, we had a great day yesterday. Some very good laps, some very tricky laps also with the rain and with the wind and the conditions and so many red flags. But we managed to put ourselves in a very strong position for today, being on a front row, first front row with Williams, which is also very special, and just going to try to maximize the track position that I have today. We have some very fast cars behind us, but if we get a clean race, I think we can still beat a few.
Well, yesterday you said, I'm going to try and stick it on the podium. Why not? You've obviously looked at some of the data overnight. I know long run, there isn't a lot of data on that hard tyre, but are you sticking with that, a podium for today, keeping those McLarens and Ferraris at bay?
Yeah, I think a podium is potentially a bit dreaming, no? It's a bit too much, but maybe a top 5 or a top 6, I think is more on the cards. But I always go into a races believing I can win them or I can be on the podium, and that's what makes it fun.
As the wind gusts and almost blows us away, what are these conditions like to drive in, Carlos? Because it looked insane in quali yesterday.
Yeah, well, if we are in theory, the best 20 drivers in the world, and if you see 6 or 7 of us putting it in the wall in pretty much every lap we had a chance for, it's because this wind was catching us out by surprise, and it was extremely tricky. That's why I'm very proud about yesterday's quali, because didn't put a foot wrong all day, and it was tricky. It was high pressure, high tension, and we managed to keep it clean.
You did indeed, and from P2, let's see what happens. Best of luck. Thanks, Carlos.
Here with Aston Martin Racing, starting with Fernando Alonso, lining up P11, just outside the top 10. But Fernando, you said after qualifying that went a little bit better than expected. What were you expecting yesterday?
Yeah, it has been a difficult weekend in terms of pace for us. And to be P11 on the edge of the points is a good starting place. But yeah, it's going to be a tough race. Maybe the pace is still not there in the race. But we hope for something unexpected.
Well, the conditions seem to be pretty similar today as they were yesterday. Does that kind of fall into your hands a little bit? You seem to excel in these particularly difficult situations.
Well, let's say that we have nothing to lose. First, we are not fighting for the championship, unfortunately, and then secondly, we are not in the points. So we can gamble a little bit more on the strategy and taking some extra risk, and let's see if it pays off.
All right, well, best of luck. We'll switch over to Lance Stroll. Lance lining up P14, not too bad. We heard you on the radio yesterday, caught out by the wind. Just how difficult was it for you, and how surprised were you at how much that wind was affecting the race car?
Yeah, really tricky conditions out there today. Yesterday and again today, very gusty. A lot of wind direction change throughout every second of the day. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge for everyone out there. But yeah, long race here, and historically a lot of stuff happens. So see what today brings.
Long and chaotic race, but you've done it before. You've been on the podium here. So with what we saw yesterday, is there a chance that a strategy gamble, maybe a safety car, something could fall your way and you could get some hardware again?
I mean, podium's a long way, but we'll see. We'll see what we can do. Anything can happen here.
All right, best of luck.
Liam, what a lap that was from you yesterday. How did it feel this morning, waking up knowing you're about to race an F1 Grand Prix and you're doing it from P3?
Yeah, it's cool. It's obviously great performance yesterday from the team. We've had a quick car all weekend, and it's felt good. Honestly, it was a tough session for sure. And I think qualifying is obviously very exciting at the time. It's very intense. Well, 2 hours yesterday because of how long the session was. But obviously the main job is today in the race.
How do you approach turn 1 in Baku? Because it's pretty eventful down there at times.
Yeah, it's tough. Obviously, it's a short run, but this track in general is always a crazy race. From our side, obviously, we'd love it to be calm today, but normally knowing this place, it's going to be busy. So we just have to try and make all the right decisions that we can, and obviously see how our pace is as well.
Yeah, what's the realistic outcome for you today, and where do you think your fight is?
I think it's going to be tough for sure. From where we are, we have some quick guys behind us, which we're well aware of, obviously. So I think it's going to be something we find out. The long runs we did on Friday were in very different conditions to this. So I think it's something we'll learn in the race today.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Liam. And Isaac, bringing you in as well, I know there was some frustration with that run in Q3 yesterday. How much more do you think you've got to put out this afternoon?
I mean, actually we're starting in a good position still, 8th. There's still cars to catch ahead, but yeah, it's still very frustrating. I could have been a bit more far ahead, but full focus on maximizing what I had ahead.
And look, we rewind a few races to Zandvoort. That was a chaotic race in which anything could happen, and the right call at the right time was really important. You got a podium there. How do you approach a race afternoon like this, which could well be similar?
Yeah, it could be chaotic. I hope it does. Creates more opportunities, but it could be also a very boring race, and that would be good for the team. So yeah, let's see how it goes. But honestly, I'm going into the race a bit blind on race pace, because on Friday we had a bit of mileage, but not so much with different conditions. So let's see.
Double points then for the team, the minimum this afternoon?
That's the minimum.
Great stuff. Best of luck. Thanks so much, guys.
And here with the Sauber team, we'll start with the veteran, Nico Hülkenberg. Nico, a bit of a struggle in qualifying yesterday, complaining a little bit about the brakes. And obviously here at Baku, that is a massive part of the lap. Confident that we found something for today and made the car a little more comfortable?
There was no problem with the brakes per se, just challenging conditions for everyone, so just didn't put it together. It was obviously a different day, race in front of us today. Very different, task today, but one, where many things can happen, so I look forward to it.
Do we think it's going to be quite as chaotic in the race today as what we saw yesterday in qualifying with 6 red flags?
I don't know, we'll find out, I guess, but obviously Baku is always, good for some surprises. Obviously the conditions are still tough, so we'll see what happens.
You're kind of a master in those mixed conditions. Are we praying for a bit of rain?
I think rain around here would be very, very interesting. Not sure how many cars will be in the finish, but let's see what happens.
Okay, best of luck. Gabby, you've been on a great run so far. Just talk to me about your qualifying run, and are you happy with where you're starting?
Well, yeah, definitely. We always want to be starting as forward as we can. You know, Q3 has been a thing for us in the last races. Yesterday, I think the best we could have achieved was a Q2. And yeah, I think quite happy. You know, it's still a good position to start and try to fight for some points.
What would some points mean for you here, just with where Sauber is right now in the Constructors' Championship? Some tight battles there in the midfield.
It would mean a lot because it's not easy to be there consistently every race, you know, and we see our main competitors are starting quite on the front rows there. So for us, it's very important to be able to maximize the day. And as Nico said, I think everything can happen in this type of track, and hopefully we can both cars score points.
All right, well, best of luck. Gabriel Bortoleto.
Esteban, starting from P20 and disqualified from qualifying. That's not the result the team or yourself, of course, would have wanted. Just talk us through what's happened and how you guys have internally reflected on that over the last 24 hours or so.
Yeah, sounds a bit depressing from there, but yeah, that's what we had yesterday. Obviously, there's a lot of opportunities here. You know, it was quite a crazy qualifying at the end of the day, and you know, we've seen that it's possible to come back in the races here, so that's going to be the aim. Trying to look ahead, see what the wind will cause, if it will, you know, blow some cars or some hats. But yeah, looking forward to the race. It's always a spicy one here.
Yeah, drivers are holding onto their hats hard in these interviews. How do you progress then from P20? And are you hoping for, I guess, a fair bit of chaos? We saw 6 red flags yesterday. How many are you expecting today?
Yeah, I mean, we will see. As much spice as they can be, the better it will be, of course. But you need to be on the good end of things. We need to be there at the end of the race also. That's very important because things will happen. So let's see if it goes on our favor or not.
And in terms of that rear wing yesterday, are you content that that's all now been rectified and sorted?
Yeah, the team took care of that. The FIA are happy with what we have now. So let's see what we get in the race.
Lovely stuff. Thank you very much. Ollie, bringing you in as the wind just continues to gust. Yeah, I don't know which is the best way to face because it's swirling around, and that's what's so tricky, isn't it? And it seemed such an innocuous crash for you yesterday that didn't seem that it would cause much damage, but out P15, it was a gust of wind, wasn't it, that caught you? How tricky is it in these conditions and to keep that kind of focus while you're in the car?
Yeah, I think it's the windiest conditions we've had all weekend and in a really long time, honestly. You know, the wind that we experienced yesterday was a big difference from what we had on Friday, so that was obviously a lot of change needed in driving and setup. Overall, the car was really quick, so it's a shame to be out of qualifying. I did a mistake, got caught out by the wind, but it was a very tricky qualifying session yesterday.
You got points for Haas here last year. How do you approach the race now, knowing that there is this wind swirling around, but equally you can't push it that hard because you never know what gust will take for you?
Yeah, exactly. I learned my lesson yesterday for sure. You know, last year, was a good year. However, I made my full race weekend debut with Haas. We scored points as well, so I always have good memories from this circuit. I love driving on this track, so hopefully that can bring us a good result today.
Thank you so much, Ollie. Best of luck to you.
Joined now by the Alpine drivers, Pierre Gasly and Franco Colapinto. Guys, bit of a struggle in qualifying, certainly. Pierre, you and I were just chatting about those conditions. They don't look to be much different here today, so how much tougher is that going to make this Grand Prix?
Well, I think it's going to make an exciting race because, yeah, as you said, it's very tricky out there for everybody. We saw a lot of mistakes yesterday. Unfortunately, we got caught as well. So, no, it's going to be important to just keep it clean, and hopefully we can make some positions today.
We were talking about these changing conditions and how this has actually been a track that you really enjoy. Even if the result doesn't necessarily always come through, it's one that you've always kind of run well at. Do you think there's any possibility with some of the chaos that we've been seeing throughout this weekend that something could happen here and give you guys a strong result?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, we know it's going to be a hectic race, and it's a special track. I mean, it's very exciting, you know, between these walls. It's just street track, so it's quite busy inside the cockpit as well, and yeah, challenging one. So, no, I enjoy it. Hopefully, as you say, there are going to be a lot of things happening. We know we've got to keep it clean and hopefully pick up a bit of performance. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. We're ready for it, and hopefully we can come out of it with a smile.
Okay, well, best of luck. Franco, first of all, how are you feeling after the incident in qualifying?
Good, good. Ready for today. The team did a lot of work and we are ready. So yeah, hopefully we can have a good day.
So we heard that you had to actually change the chassis from yesterday to today. How does that affect your preparation, your mindset going into the race?
Not too much. Of course, that it's a pity for all the extra work that the boys had to do in the garage, but they were mega and they had an excellent work, so very grateful for that. And yeah, hopefully we can have a good race from starting a bit on the back, but we'll try to make up for it and make some good stops, a good strategy, and try to end up a bit higher than this.
Now, in qualifying, you're obviously driving 10/10ths, and with these difficult conditions, it caught a lot of drivers out. In the race today, conditions very similar. How much are you going to have to hold back a little bit? How much margin are you going to have to give to make sure that you don't have, you know, a race-ending incident?
I don't know, we will see, but yeah, yesterday, unfortunately, we both got caught up with in that corner with a very, very big gust of tailwind, and it just made the car over-rotate quite aggressively. So it's just, you know, tricky out there, very tricky conditions, and yeah, we'll try to do our best today. We know that we have good pace, and sometimes it can be a little bit unpredictable, but when the car is in the window, is good, so we'll try to have a good one.
All right, best of luck.
Allez, spécial, les gars, allez.